Hey up, it's Steve from that old Yorkshire geek, and it's Saturday, which means it's UFO News Day. So let's hit the intro and we'll get on with it. Right, I'm back. So we've got, I think, 3 stories and a couple of, maybe 2 or 3 or 4, I don't know, videos to look at. Bit of a slow week this week, I suppose you could say. My Uri Geller psychic things didn't quite work this week, but never mind. So, right, let's get the window up. Right, first up is from our friends at Third Phase of Moon. I can never remember the names. I can't remember. Whatever. And so go over there. Before we look at this, go over there, give them a subscribe, give them a like, tell them I sent you. And we'll have a look. This first one is from the International Space Station. I always like UFO videos, or, you know, what would you call it? Anomalous videos from space, because if it's in space, it's not a bloody aeroplane or an helicopter, is it? So, right, let's have a look. I will play it, have their audio, with them describing it, and then we'll discuss it after.
Coming to a standstill and then doing some erratic maneuvers, just pausing there, and then all of a sudden accelerating to the left at great speeds. I've never seen a satellite do anything like this before. This is something crazy. Is there some kind of secret space force up there, or is this something extraterrestrial in nature? Brent, I want to get your thoughts. Yeah, Blake, this is pretty wild. Look at that. It just banks up there to the right, does this kind of zigzag motion, and then speeds up. We're adding a little speed just to demonstrate the motion of this object, whatever it is. I think we're speeding it up by 3 times. This is actual motion right here. You can see it just move, creep along, do this weird maneuver, and then just stall like that, and then moves to the left. What in the world is this? Is this, like Blake said, a secret space program, new technology that we're not familiar with? Whatever it is, it's pretty intriguing. Absolutely legit footage coming in from NASA, unless NASA is putting in artifacts in the film like Neil deGrasse Tyson said. I highly doubt it. What we're looking at, in my opinion, is authentic. What's interesting, too, is when you follow this light, again, it does erratic maneuvers, then goes in a direct direction to the left at high rates of speed. It's hard to say what's going on here, but I'm having to rule out satellites. Obviously, it's not a drone. It's up there in space. And again, NASA cut the feed just shortly after this observation of this light.
Right, so there you go. We'll carry on playing their video. As you can see, it's an object. It comes in from the right, does a zigzag, and then shoots off into space. And obviously, it could be argued if it were on like the shuttle or some other spacecraft, you could say, oh, it's a piece of ice that's been moved about by the, reaction control thrusters. But it's the International Space Station, which, to be honest, I don't think has many reaction control thrusters. It has an occasional, orbit stabilization from the Russian modules. But you can't see anything. I think that's one of the Russian. You can. One of the Russian things there, isn't it? But you can't see anything coming out, any thrusters or anything. So, and it looks to be quite a way away, but that can be deceiving, can't it, in space? But it's an interesting one. Yeah, I think it's a genuine capture. That's what I think. Something moving in space under its own power and then shooting off. Yep, that's what I think. So that's a good one. That's a good one in my book. What else have they got on that day? Let's have a look. No, I'm not interested in that one. There's this one here, which I think is just an atmospheric effect. Just probably a weird cloud and the sun's catching it, the setting sun's catching it. That's what I think that is. What else? Oh, this is the one from the title. It says Mount Shasta, but I think this is a drop of water on the camera, if we can see it. There we go. And they said that in the video. They say it could be a drop of water on the camera that's distorted. So that's what it looks like to me. So that's what I think that is. So that's that one. So that's very interesting, isn't it? Right, I think a day later, I think the very next day, they had another video, a UFO, UAP, whatever you want to call them these days, captured over. Well, actually, they don't know where because the person who submitted it to Reddit wouldn't say where they were because they said it were outside their house and it was their, doorbell camera or whatever that caught this object. So we'll have a look at this one and listen to what Brent and I forgot again what they call them. Is it Brent and Brad or something like that? The twins. I used to think that they were just the same person. He used to change wigs because you never saw him in the same room at the same time. But then I saw a video with them both together. Could have been a special effect. I don't know. Anyway, let's have a look. I'll go back a little bit. Because I've started it too late. There we go. So
It's some incredible UFO footage that we've got permission to share with you right here at Third Phase Moon. Guys, take a look at this. So this was posted on Reddit by Oh Wow Much Fun, you guys, on October 13th, about 8:42 p.m. Central Time, and it was posted later on the channel Unknown 102. Again, we're going to be supplying the original links right below in the description. Permission granted right here to share you the evidence captured by the public. That's what we're here for at Third Phase Moon, getting it out as fast as possible. Now, I did some research in regards to the original uploader to Reddit. Reddit denied their submission, basically stating that there wasn't enough information, like the home address. That's kind of interesting to me when Reddit is requiring submitters of UFO footage to give up your home address. I thought that was kind of unfair, but we're sharing it right here at Third Phase Moon. We're not going to give the exact location because the person who uploaded it didn't want to give that information up, and I can't blame them. There's a lot of people out there in this field that are a lot of, I'd have to say wacky. Let's just put it that way. And I don't have a problem with the person who didn't want to reveal his exact address. But that being said, we want to get into more of the detail of this capture on this door cam.
as you can see, it comes in from the right. There it is.
Up on the upper right-hand corner, you see something come into frame on the Xfinity camera. I guess it's called some kind of new service out there for security purposes. But something lights up as we see the car driving by. This is real-time footage, and some people might say this is some kind of a lens refraction, some kind of lens flare anomaly. I'd have to disagree.
So there you go. So I don't think it's a lens flare. I'm not sure what it is. The way it moves away and shrinks down, that looks a bit suspicious to me. It looks a bit too, as though it's done in, editing software or something like that. I don't know, but let's move on a little bit because the zoom in, there we go. And you know what it actually reminded me of? The Turkish UFO videos. I can't remember the exact title of it, but where they said they can see the aliens in the cockpit. Actually reminds me a bit of that. And there seems to be a couple of times when the light flashes on it. See if we can catch it.
Illuminated, or a lot of illuminated things.
Illusion.
It goes behind the tree, so that's going to have to.
I don't know. It's interesting, is that one? Some people have said, is it a flock of birds? Don't look like a flock of birds to me. Could it be a wisp of smoke from somewhere, or a cloud catching the weird light, maybe from the car park that's just there, parking lot? I don't know. I don't know what it is. It's an interesting one. Another one from Third Phase of Moon that is interesting. That's it. That's all I can say about it. It's an anomalous one. Is it genuine? I'm not sure. As I said, this bit where it kind of shrinks down looks a bit too... I don't know.
And it definitely goes behind the trees there, so again...
I don't know. I'm torn on this one. There's alarm bells are ringing in my head, but it's an interesting one. Have they got another one on this 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 show, this episode? Let's have a look. I think these ones are just these are just lights in the sky. This chap captures these lights. There's like a reddish one and a whitish one, and I think a plane or a helicopter flies by. But apart from that, it's just lights in the sky. So that's interesting, but it could be anything. It could even be like stars or planets. It could be Jupiter and Mars or something like that. You never know, because they don't seem to move in the few minutes that is recording them. So, but anyway, that's another interesting one. But this first one here with the where are we? With this anomalous object, there it is, gliding by and disappearing
corner,
into
you
the
see
night.
something come into.
Yeah, that's it's a weird one. It does a jump there because they said that they edited it. It came in two parts apparently, and they spliced them together. That's why there's a little jump in the video. So, but it just glides away. I don't know what it is. I genuinely do not know what it is. If anybody's got any ideas, write it in the comments or drop me a line. As you can see up there, never get that right, do I? Up there, like and subscribe, share the videos, and join me on my Facebooks. What else? Twitter and Instagram. I'm on there, posting daft things. Right, so that's the videos. Actually, no, we've got another one. Where is it? This one here. UFO lights captured. Where are we? New footage of UFO lights appearing over Derbyshire village. Bright unexplained lights moving across the night sky. We'll watch the video, and then we'll read the news story. There's no audio with this one, but you just see it seems to be raining. There we go, a little bit spitting maybe, or it could have been a bug. But a light appears there. You can just make it out there, and it gets brighter. There's a star up there. There we go. Just flares up, and it doesn't seem to move for a while, but it is actually moving to the left really slowly. Let's say I put my mouse pointer there, and you'll see that it gets closer to the mouse pointer. Oh, my mouse pointer just disappeared. But it's hard to see with a naked eye. If you use this chimneys or a tree or whatever, this here, you can see it moving closer to there, but it's moving closer, but then it speeds up. And wondering what it is, and I've got to be honest. To me, could it be like a helicopter with a searchlight on? Is it the police helicopter? I don't know. But we'll read the story, and I had a quick scan of the story, and there's like a debunking explanation at the end. That's almost as good as what was it? Moonlight reflecting off cabbages. There's that one. But anyway, as you see, it's moving to the left, and then it does seem to speed up quite quickly in a moment. So I think it could be a helicopter, maybe a police helicopter out looking for some ne'er-do-well. But I don't know. I can't see any flashing lights, but don't mean that there aren't any. There could be, you couldn't see them maybe because of the searchlight that's on. And as I said, there's no audio. I've got the audio on. It's on full, but there's no audio. So if there's any noises, don't know. Right, let's read the story. So there, you've seen the video. Let's read the story. New video footage has emerged of mysterious lights made by, as of yet, unidentified flying objects, UFOs, over a... Just get rid of that. Never mind. Over a Derbyshire town at the weekend, leaving it... What's happened? Oh, for crying out loud. Right, start again. Oh, the internet, eh? The internet. Right, we'll start again. New video footage has emerged of mysterious lights made by, as of yet, unidentified flying objects, UFOs, over a Derbyshire town at the weekend, leaving a woman baffled upon seeing the images captured by her home CCTV. Whilst, I hate that word, just say while while walking home late at night, whilst. Hey, nonny, nonny. Forsooth, for thou she was walking hometh, whilst. God, I tell you. The page is throwing a Benny here, by the way, because of all the adverts. I've got an ad blocker, but I had to turn it off for this page because, it was getting upset and telling me, turn off the ad blocker. And you turn it off, and then you just get millions of adverts popping up. God, I hate the internet sometimes. Look at him. Who's he? Right. Whilst walking home late at night, Lisa, who lives in Kilburn near Belper, received a notification on her phone telling her her home security system had detected movement outside. I wish mine would. All it detects is cats. So she checked and saw what at first she thought was a meteor and started recording. Then, after seeing a previous story from Derbyshire Live about others seeing bright lights over Derby, she too sent in her images saying she could also see baffling objects from the wider county. In search of answers, she has also passed it on to investigative bodies, UFO Identified, and the Mutual UFO Network, MUFON, a US-based organisation of civilian volunteers who study reported UFO sightings. Lisa says, you can just see it there on the right-hand side. The video is playing. I'll pause it. Lisa says she does not believe what she saw were alien craft, but she's still stumped as to their true nature and is trying to figure out a possible explanation for the floating lights. After ruling out a meteor or Chinese lantern, one possible justification for the strange sight could, she suggests, lie in rumours she heard as a child about experimental beds at Rolls-Royce's Victory Road base in Sinfin. Experimental beds. Lisa said, can you see that? Scroll it. Can you see that? Yes, you can. Lisa said, I always thought they were just stories to scare the children, but a couple of people I've had a pint with who weren't drunk in the pub started talking about UFOs. One used to tell me about 10 years ago about this triangular object he saw over Rolls-Royce's Victory Road site. He had worked at Rolls-Royce, so God knows what they're doing. He said they have some experimental beds down there, but he didn't know what they're for. I don't think they mean beds that you sleep on. It's probably meaning a bed might be another name for a facility or something like that. It could be. I really don't quite know what it was. First I thought it was a Chinese lantern or a meteor falling, but it went up and down. I didn't see it go down. I saw it go up. It would have gone down and faded in the atmosphere if it was a meteor. It all depends, doesn't it? Sometimes meteors appear to go up. It's all from your perspective, innit? So, your observation point, it could appear to go up in the sky, but it's actually just going overhead, innit? It's still coming down. But from your perspective, it appears to be going up. There was also no sound, and there were no helicopters, no aeroplanes. I even checked on flight radar. Well, I don't know. Like I said, there was no sound with the video, but that doesn't mean there were any sound if you were there. Remember, she didn't see it there and then. She saw it on the security system, didn't she? So that doesn't mean, just because it didn't capture the sound doesn't mean there wasn't any. Following reports of other similar sightings, Derbyshire Live readers have offered their explanations for the bizarre happenings. Isabel Green said, usually they turn out to be satellites. That's what I thought. I thought, is it those iridium satellites, an iridium flare? Are they still going? I don't know, but they were all the rage, weren't they, in the mid to late 90s, early aughts. Whilst, that word again, a fellow commenter said Lisa's initial meteor explanation may still hold water. They said, what was seen here is likely to be smaller debris from a meteor that's floating down like a feather would. Seems a bit unlikely to me, but, it's not impossible, I suppose. Michael Michaels, most imaginative parents in the universe, meanwhile said, it's seagulls, the light from the sunrise is reflecting off them. Is he being serious? I don't know, but that's up there with moonlight reflecting off cabbages, isn't it? So there we go. That's it. That's your lot for that one. So, as I said, to me initially, I'm thinking police helicopter. People have debunked that and said it's not the police helicopter because there was no sound. It's at 3 o'clock in the morning, by the way. I think a date needs changing. It says the 17th of the 9th, and we're only on the 15th today. So a date's out. Or is it the 8th? Could be the 8th. I don't know. Does it say there? Does it say here what day it was? No, it doesn't say, does it? But she needs to change her date on her camera because it's wrong. Unless it's the 8th, 17th of the 8th, maybe it is. I don't know. So there you go. Just a light in the sky, basically, that moves slowly, speeds up a little bit. That's why I think it's possibly a police helicopter. Right, what shall we do next? We will do this one, the Daily Star one. Boo! Didn't like them last week, did we? They were debunking and taking the mickey. But we'll read it. Meeting aliens could trigger world war on Earth. Experts say in chilling warning. Experts fear the first nation to make contact with aliens will suddenly become the most powerful country on the planet, triggering a rift with rivals, including so-called superpowers. But if you believe, the stories, lots of countries in the world over history have had contact with aliens. America, Germany, Russia, lots of them. Sumerians, Egyptians, the Aztecs, the Mayans, they've all been in contact with aliens. Right, meeting aliens for the first time could trigger a world war on Earth, boffins say. They fear the first nation to make contact with ET will suddenly become the most powerful country on the planet. That could trigger a huge rift with rivals, including so-called superpowers who had not yet had a natter with extraterrestrials. According to a study by geophysicist Kenneth Wisian, apologies, and religious studies expert John Trafagan, I don't know. What's up with Smith these days? Or Johnson. That's a good surname. Knowledge of alien technology, if wielded solely by one nation here on Earth, might enable it to dominate the world. And there's that looks like a genuine image of a UFO and an alien. I think that's real. And I said the Daily Star takes the mickey, don't I? And I'm just as bad. Their report, published in journal Space Policy, said controlling communication with alien intelligence could be the biggest prize ever in international competition. By the way, this is another, isn't it? Another a geophysicist and another chap doing what seems like a proper report. In Space Policy, a real journal, like a recognised, journal. It sounds like it, doesn't it? It sounds like one. With a name like Space Policy. So this is another scientific view of the UFO alien ET phenomenon. So I think we're getting close. Where were we? It could be enough to spark war as countries that had not made contact scrambled to find out where ET was so they could say hello. How are they meaning that? Because you can't really say hello, not with our current technology. You can't really say hello to ETs unless they're here already. But you can't talk to them. If you detect signals from outer space, you can't have a two-way conversation, can you? Because we don't have faster than light communications. We don't have subspace communications, do we? Or do we? Anyway, if the country that makes first contact does not voluntarily share the information, their rivals may try to force it out of them. Mr. Trafagan, apologies, told US news website The Daily Beast to think anything else is to be rather naive. Boffins are increasingly convinced aliens exist and the first close encounter looms large. Astrologist, Douglas Vakosh told Newsweek there are billions of stars in our Milky Way galaxy and the vast majority are orbited by planets. Pardon me, do they mean astronomy? Because he's not mentioned anything about astrology there, is it? But anyway. And there are billions of galaxies in the universe. It would be a miracle if Earth is the only planet in the entire cosmos that has life, and I don't believe in miracles, so life is almost certainly out there. In the words of the late great Carl Sagan, if it's only us, it's an incredible waste of space. American philosopher Chelsea Horamia, for God's sake, said governments need to prepare to meet ET. In the event of contact, things will likely move very quickly, and we may not have the time to carefully vet our reasoning, she said. It's better to do what we can now and to recognise what we can't do with the knowledge that we have. In a rival paper, US astrophysicist and astronomy professor Jason Wright played down the risk of alien contact triggering a human war. We argue that the specific scenario many people imagine that the signal will contain advanced physics and engineering that we can use to build new technologies, perhaps even military technologies, is pretty unlikely. So that's going back to Carl Sagan again with his book Cosmos, Contact, where we got a signal from Vega, and they built that machine, didn't they? That took in the film it took Ellie Hathaway, Jodie Foster, to meet her dad. Except he wasn't a dad; it was an alien pretending to be a dad. Even if it happens, there's not much governments could do to get a monopoly on that information. A signal from space will be available to anyone on Earth, pardon me, with a satellite dish, so there's not much point in, for instance, sending the army in to take over a radio telescope facility. He said the only way to react to aliens was hard to predict, and governments might mistakenly think sending in the army is a good idea. What do they mean sending in the army? What if you detect a signal from space, they're going to send in the army? Where to? To Z2 Reticuli. We need to make sure policymakers and government officials are aware of what the search for extraterrestrial intelligence is and understand the nature of any signal that gets detected early, he said. There are some protocols in place that practitioners know and generally try to follow, and these include widely sharing the details of any detected signal to make sure there are no misunderstandings. There you go. But they've been in contact with aliens for years. Lots of governments around the world that they probably think we're the only ones talking to the aliens. The aliens are talking to us because they like us. We're on a mission from God. That's what they'd say, wouldn't they? But no, they're talking to everybody. They're talking to everybody. Or nobody, depending what you believe. And sending in the army, yeah. They probably could actually send in the army because, space fleets and all that. It could be a reality. Anyway, last story. An Eastern WA, is that Washington? I think that's Washington, isn't it? An Eastern Washington man. Oh, Max, it's the Seattle Times. Yeah. By the way, all the links are in the description below. And as I said earlier, don't forget to like and subscribe, share the videos and drop a comment. Follow me on my social medias and all that cool stuff. An Eastern Washington man records 180,000 UFO sightings, even if others debunk them. And there he is, standing outside a tunnel of some sort. Right, can you read that? I think I'll have to move this over now, aren't I? There we go. Right. Harrington, Lincoln County. Come with me on a trip into UFO land. Great start, innit? With the believers, the skeptics, and a guy like me. This is, by the way, is Eric Lacitis. I don't know, because people in America have weird names. I have never seen a UFO, but I write feature stories. And when you write feature stories, you inevitably veer off into the unconventional. In many ways, a modest manufactured home here in Harrington is ground zero for UFO enthusiasts. This is where tens of thousands of sighting reports are carefully catalogued into a computer. This town of 430, an hour's drive west of Spokane, surrounded by rolling acres of wheat fields, is the home of Peter Davenport, 74. That name rings a bell. 7 days a week. Oh, that's probably, yes. UFO, National UFO Reporting Centre. Yes, that's where I've seen him before. I've seen other stories with him. 7 days a week in a one-man operation, except for a webmaster. He runs the National UFO Reporting Centre. New Fork, isn't it? New Fork. This is his 28th year. Giving up every day, I think that, he says. And there he is with his computer. He's got a better computer than me by the looks of it. got a bit of an old keyboard, though, by the looks. But if it works, fair enough. He estimates he's meticulously logged 180,000 reports since he took over the site in 1994 from the late Bob Gribble, a Seattle firefighter with a fascination for UFOs, and they just keep coming. Then Davenport explains why he keeps going. This is probably the most important scientific question ever to confront mankind. Are we alone in this galaxy, or are we not? In my opinion, we are not alone. We are visited on a routine basis by these things we call UFOs. I'm getting a bit dry now. I've got a drink. I forgot to bring one. Struggle on. The reports have that look. Right. The reports have that look of just the facts. Date, place, what was observed, although what was observed is sometimes very strange. Davenport's site is referenced in stories that have run in the New York Times, the Washington Post, and the Wall Street Journal. It is his site that the Federal Aviation Administration recommends for reporting UFOs. He has never married, has no children, so his time is all his own. Jammy sod. For June 2022, for example, he logged 267 reports, most from the United States, and a few international ones. And here's some examples. I saw a darkish grey disk going in and out of the clouds. My wife and I saw a rectangular-shaped object that was lit up in the night sky. A large shadow moved over the house. It literally darkened the inside as well, passed across, and the power went out for a few seconds. Well, that's a good one, isn't it? Year in, year out, the reports are similar. For Davenport, a fascination with UFOs began when he was 6, growing up in St. Louis. It's St. Louis. I don't know. When the family, I think it's St. Louis, isn't it? Yeah. When the family went to a drive-in movie, it was July or August of 1954. Suddenly there was a disturbance and people running and shouting. I looked out the right side of our Studebaker and saw the most incredible thing I've ever seen in my life. It was so bright that it looked like the sun, shaped like one of those English rugby balls. It rose straight up and dropped down behind the movie screen. Then it was gone into the northern sky. I suspect that event goes a long way to explain why I'm sitting in this house in Harrington talking to you about UFOs, says Davenport. And there's a picture of some lights in the sky. Has it got an explanation? Let's have a look. This image from Davenport's website shows 3 unidentified lights in the sky over New Mexico on December 8th, 2014, around 9 p.m. Guards at a military base reported seeing 3 lights in a row, white. See, it's going to go wrong now, isn't it? No, it's not doing anything. There we go. White with a red tint. They said the lights disappeared after about 20 seconds. Other base personnel, including the commanding officer, reported seeing the same lights from a different angle. There you go. Right, it's fitting that his UFO centre is headquartered in this state. It's not surprising. In July, or is it July? I'm terrified about mispronouncing something. I'm always mispronouncing something. That's why I always give lots of variations. Because you've got to be careful these days. In July, a report proclaimed Washington the #1 state in the country for UFO sightings, according to a compilation done by the online jigsaw puzzle site imapuzzle.com. It was based on 2 years of UFO reports from Davenport's site, ending in December 2021. What's a jigsaw got to do with UFOs? Maybe they had some UFO jigsaws they were trying to sell. Washington reported 88.03 sightings per 100,000 residents, about twice the national average of 44.95. The Pacific Northwest has a long history of UFOs, or with UFOs. The term flying saucers was born here 75 years ago. On June 24th, 1947, Kenneth Arnold, a businessman and an experienced pilot flying a single-engine plane, reported seeing 9 flying shiny objects weaving and banking at astounding speeds by Mount Rainier. Nationwide, in the last couple of years, after being relegated to stories the Associated Press labels oddities, UFOs are being taken seriously. UFO spotting has replaced bird watching as pandemic obsession, headlined a September 1st, 2020 Wall Street Journal story. An August 2021 Gallup poll said 4 in 10 Americans believe UFOs are alien spacecraft visiting Earth from other planets or galaxies. That's almost half. And there's a drawing. Let's have a read. Let's have a read what it describes. In 2014, again, Wybert Bud Ebanks of Oak Harbour reported that he saw a UFO right outside his house and says he doesn't care if people think he's crazy. He made a drawing of the orb. This drawing was created by an incident investigator with the Washington State branch of the Mutual UFO Network at E. Banks's direction and is based upon his original drawing. There you go. Right, in 2021, National Intelligence report to the Senate said the feds were unable to explain more than 140 UFOs, although no evidence was found of alien life. During a May 17th House hearing with Pentagon officials, one testified about an unidentified aerial phenomena, or UAP, reported a jet fighter pilot. I do not have an explanation for what this specific object is. NASA announced in June it was forming a team to examine UAPs. Yeah, this $100,000 team. Yeah. Davenport speaks with the background of someone with a lot of academic credentials. He has bachelor's degrees in biology and Russian from Stanford University and master's degrees in fisheries and business administration from the University of Washington. He was one of the founders of a Seattle biotech company and sold his stock in 1995. The money was helpful in running his low-budget site, he says, which he estimates costs $250 to $500 a month. That's low budget, is it? It's more than mine is. It grates him that in all those hours answering the phone, he has to deal with joke calls. On a typical day, between 10 to 80% of calls placed to our hotline are crank calls, says Davenport. It started in a serious sense in 2017 when a young girl in Portland built a website of 10 scary telephone numbers to call. That's given rise to between 30,000 to 40,000 crank calls in the last 5 years. On his phone's caller ID, he recognises a frequent such caller. He lets it go to voicemail. It's filth. Like they're all coached with the same line, says Davenport. A UFO landed in the backyard last night. It looked like her, and he uses a term for a sex toy. A Jeff Bezos rocket. At his age, he knows someone will have to take over the site. His webmaster, Christian Stepien, 62, of Santa Barbara, the retired founder of the software company Experlogics, says he's willing to spend the hours. Also a ufologist, he says, I have the bandwidth for it. I did tell you at the beginning that a trip into UFO land is unconventional. Davenport used to live in Seattle. In 2006, he ended up in Haddington because it's near a decommissioned Cold War era nuclear missile silo. He bought it for $100,000 because he always had wanted to own one. He stores a few UFO paper files in cabinets there, but mostly it's a cavernous, empty, dank place. Sometimes he takes visitors on a tour. I think that might be where I heard his name. I've heard him in connection with UFOs. I think he might have been on like other UFO shows. I forgot his name now. The chap that used to do a UFO radio show. What's his name now? He lived in Phoenix. And used to like listening to him. I think Peter Davenport was on that, I think. Anyway, quite regularly. Sometimes he takes visitors on the tour. The side... Oh, God, I wish I could remember his name. It'll come to me. Sometimes he takes visitors on the tour. The silo is a local legend. You can read about it in the backstory on page 2 of today's magazine. Oh, right, okay. Looking at Davenport's website, you easily can understand why UFO skeptics are skeptics. There are no smartphone high-resolution images of a UFO that landed in the middle of a city park. Obviously. The images are of shapes, lights, streaks or drawings, the latter obviously done by individuals with minimal drawing experience. What you do find are reports from individuals who say they saw something and it was strange. Here is one from December 29th, 1994, near La Crosse in Whitman County. I picked that one because on Davenport's website, with its rudimentary drawing, it is featured in the image gallery. Mother and 6 children were driving northwest on bit me tongue then. On Zering Cutoff Road when the children spotted bright lights to the right side. There were 3 seemingly identical black delta-shaped ships with a very bright yellow or white headlight on the front, which was scanning the ground ahead of and below them as they flew across the road at an estimated speed of 5 miles per hour. After the objects had crossed the road, passing directly over the car, they turned south and continued moving in that direction. And there's the sketch. Each craft approximately 40 feet by 40 feet. That's approximately 2.5 by 3 feet. That's this thing here. Bluish green light, refrigerator sound, small fan. Oh, pardon me. Davenport says that as he talked to the mother on the phone, he could hear her children in the background blurting out corrections. It was a wonderful form of confirmation, wrote Davenport. One UFO skeptic is Adam Frank, an astrophysicist at the University of Rochester in New York. There are numerous UFO skeptics. I contacted Frank because in 1992 he earned a PhD in physics at the University of Washington and co-authored with the University of Washington Emeritus Astronomy Professor Woodruff T. Sullivan, that's a name, innit, a May 2016 paper in the journal Astrobiology on their calculations based on the discovery of more than 3,000 exoplanets, planets outside the solar system. Based on factors needed for alien life to exist in an exoplanet or on an exoplanet, such as orbits in the right Goldilocks location that are not too hot, not too cold for liquid water to exist, they concluded that there have been extraterrestrial civilizations. Whether such civilizations currently exist, they couldn't answer. I saw a news thing that said there are about 1 billion Earth-like planets in our galaxy alone. Or was it 3 billion? I can't remember. But I saw that the other day in the news report. Mainstream news. That led Frank to write a May 30th, 2021 New York Times op-ed. It was headlined, "I'm a physicist who searches for aliens. UFOs don't impress me." Well, they never do they? To him, phenomena observed using well-characterized scientific instruments far away in a galaxy are considerably different from reported sensational findings just a few miles away in our own atmosphere. In a telephone interview, Frank says, "Think how much better camera technology has become since Kenneth Arnold. How come pictures of UFOs are so blurry? Because it happens so fast. You want to see my photos when I was trying to take a picture of a bloody squirrel or a bird in the back garden?" Frank says about reports such as the La Crosse one, in general, it's personal testimony, and you can't do a whole lot with personal testimony. That's not what science is about. Science requires measuring with equipment. Yeah, but it's not science, is it? It's, as he says, it's personal testimony. It's circumstantial evidence. It's, what's the word? Anecdotal a lot of the time, isn't it? But that's what it is, isn't it? You see a car accident, you're telling the police about it. There's evidence of a car accident, but you're trying to describe what happened, as you saw it. The police didn't see it happen. You're telling them, oh, it did this, did that. This is, it spun round, whatever, hit the wall. That's anecdotal, isn't it? That's your memory of the event. And that's what it is with UFO sightings. People are trying to remember it as it happened, even though they've no corroborating evidence, which is why sometimes, it gets a bit, your memory, not only photos are blurry, your memory is blurry as well, or it can be. Davenport is used to the skeptics of the blurry UFO images, he says. Traditionally, most people don't know how to use their camera. The night focus mechanism on most cameras doesn't function very well when all you have is an indistinct source of light. About Frank, he says, has he looked at my data? Has he ever attended one of my presentations? Frank replies, I have looked at UFO images and data. People send me stuff all the time. From a scientific perspective, there isn't much you can do with it. Davenport is because he's not interested in it. That's what it boils down to. Davenport is asked why no UFO has ever landed at a city park to be witnessed and photographed at length. You'll have to talk to the aliens to get an answer, he says. Well, what can you say about that? The soccer fields at Lower Woodland Park would make a grand landing site. All right, 3 often cited UFO sightings. Are we nearly done? Yeah, I think we are. Number one, Navy pilots and UFOs. Navy pilots are the guys portrayed by Tom Cruise in the Top Gun movies. You would trust their observations in the air, wouldn't you? Why did they say that? Why did they mention Top Gun and stuff like that? A number of videos of Navy pilots are encountering baffling phenomena are on the internet. A notable one is from 2015, taken aboard a US Navy FA-18 Super Hornet from the nuclear aircraft carrier USS Theodore Roosevelt near the Florida coast. It was among 3 Navy UFO videos confirmed by the Department of Defense as real. It labelled them unidentified aerial phenomena. The audio begins with the pilot at first saying he's seeing a drone, but then, it's an expletive drone, bro. There's a whole fleet of them. My gosh, they're all going against the wind. The wind is 120 knots to the west. Look at that thing. It's rotating. And there's a still from the video, the so-called gimbal UFO. UFO skeptic Mick West, who runs the website metabunk.org, did his own research. He gave a detailed explanation saying the UFOs were nothing but glare from the Navy jet's gimbal system, a tool that uses motors and intelligent sensors to support and stabilise a camera. Yeah, of course it was. Of course it was, Mick. Number 2, 75 years ago, flying saucers started with Kenneth Arnold. He was an experienced pilot with more than 4,000 hours of high-altitude pilot time. Kenneth Arnold lived in Meridian, Idaho, and sold fire extinguishing equipment. He piloted his single-engine Call Air A2 around the northwest to visit clients. In the 1952 book he wrote, Coming of the Saucers, and in various interviews, including with me way back in 1977, he repeated the same story about what he saw flying by Mount Rainier. And there's Kenneth Arnold with an artist's impression of what he saw. As you know, it doesn't look like a saucer, does it? It was the press that created the term flying saucer. It was 3 p.m, he told me, when a very bright flash lit up the plane and the sky around me. At first, he thought it was the sun, but the flash happened again, and that's when I saw where it was coming from. It came spasmodically from a chain of 9 circular-shaped aircraft, except they're not circular, way up from the vicinity of Mount Rainier. I could not find any tails on these things. They didn't leave a jet trail behind them. I judged their size to be at least 100 feet in diameter. See, he kind of contradicts himself there, doesn't he? You're not doing yourself any favours, Kenneth. I mean, that's not circular. Using the clock on his instrument panel, he judged the flying objects were travelling at 1,760 miles per hour. The story was picked up by the Associated Press. Subsequent headlines used flying saucers, and the term was born. The Air Force concluded it was a mirage. Back when I interviewed him, Arnold, who died in 1984 at age 68, said, I made my report because I thought it was my duty. It was the only proper and American thing to do. I saw what I saw. Number 3, Oregon farmer Evelyn Trent's historic flying saucer photos. On May 11, 1950, at around 7:30 p.m, Evelyn Trent was feeding the chickens and rabbits outside the family farmhouse just outside McMinnville, Oregon, about 40 miles southeast of Portland. She saw an object that looked like a good-sized parachute canopy without the strings, only silvery bright mixed with bronze, she told the Oregonian in a 1950 story. It made no sound and was sort of gliding, she said. She ran to tell her husband, Paul Trent, to take pictures. He managed to take 2 photos with his Kodak Roma folding camera. The photos ended up in a full-page story in Life magazine, which in that era was one of the most influential mass communication mediums. Skeptics have several explanations. It was something hanging from a power line. It was a detached side mirror from a vehicle. A 950-page report commissioned by the Air Force and led by nuclear physicist Edward U. Condon studied a number of UFO sightings. The 1968 study included the Trent photos and concluded the images were real and that the couple was truthful, even if Evelyn Trent had told the Oregonian in 1950 that she had seen flying saucers at the coast 3 separate times. What is undisputed is that the McMinnville photos remain one of the most prominent images ever taken of a UFO. In May, the town of McMinnville hosted the 22nd annual UFO festival to commemorate the Trent images and bring in tourists. 20,000 attended. That's not a UFO, it's something easily explained. Right, we're going on to the other explanation. We're nearly done because it's going on, isn't it? All right, we're nearly done. So anyway, the other explanations are that they're talking about. There we go. Starlink satellites launch quite regularly. They usually launch like 50 of them at a time, sometimes 60. It depends. There we go. And you see a train of them. There's a long exposure image of them. But if you see them going across the sky, you'll see a line of white dots just moving all together across the sky. You think, what on earth is that? So they're Starlink satellites. Venus, so that can, especially if it's low and sort of like, twinkling in the atmosphere, that can cause you to think you're seeing a UFO. Same with the planet. Same with the star Sirius, that twinkles and seems to change colour in the sky. Fireballs, which are meteors. Fireballs like an exploding meteor, I suppose. Lenticular clouds, which form usually over mountains. Have the UFO shape. Sky lanterns or Chinese lanterns, they often get mistaken for UFOs. Usually can tell because they're generally like an orangey colour, like that. Contrails, or is it chemtrails? Dun, dun, dun. They're, I don't know. I've not seen many people confuse them with the UFO, but you never know. And rocket junk, yeah, well, that's the same with meteors, isn't it? That re-entering rocket, stages that re-enter the Earth's atmosphere, they'll burn up, like a meteor. But they usually tend to, break apart, so they look a little bit more spectacular sometimes. Right, and that's it. So there you go. So that was interesting. Good old Peter Davenport. Wish I could remember the name of that fella I used to listen to. I think he's passed away. Was it Andrew somebody? Oh, I can't remember his name. But he used to have a really good UFO radio show from Phoenix. I used to listen to it all the time. Just to download his shows and listen to them. Right, so we'll leave it there. Some interesting news stories. Let's do the Uri Geller thing. More news stories next week. Thank you very much, Universe. I'm going to do that every week. I don't care. Right, so we'll leave it there. So, wherever you are in the universe, look after each other. And until next time, I'll see thee.